Alright, hey, hi, hello. How's it going, guys? My name is ZetaRayZod, and welcome back to more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Now, before I begin, be sure to like, subscribe, and get that bell on so you stay up to date on all my latest videos. So, last we left off, we are I wouldn't say interviewing, we are cross-examining the reporter, and, you know, he said he witnessed the whole thing from end to end, so we saw MENIMEMOISM come in, stab her, and then, you know, all that jazz, and he took a picture. So, we kind of poked holes in his cross-examination. Specifically, he said he's never stepped inside the tent, but we found his pen. This is his pen, RM. We thought it was MENIMEMOISM, but it's actually, what's his name? Right-hand MENIMEMO. So, RM. And also, he's like, prove it, and we're like, yeah, screw it, we can prove it, and then this symbol is actually the symbol of his news agency that he's working for, so caught him dead to rights. So let's continue. An interview?
Hey, you never mentioned this before.
When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. I could have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing, and as we MENIMEMOists say, people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. Wow. Is he just making this shit up on the fly? He should be a writer. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it! Yes, alright, but on one condition.
Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume-san. Soseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Embrace yourselves. Because it's not a harmless one, it's big.
What?
Wow, what a dipshit, huh? He's like, if I'm going under the bus, Soseki's coming with me. He's like, throw him under the bus, he's got a secret too. MENIMEMOISM states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. He has a point. That's how journalism works. Specifically, that's how paparazzi works. Very well, I'll grant the witness's request in this instant. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Soseki-san hiding something? I don't think he's a killer. Soseki's actually a real person. I don't think he murdered someone in real life, did he? He's nervous again. Just looking behind him. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why MENIMEMOISM demands I reveal it now. Throwing other people under the bus. You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness? And when she did, you decided to ask her a question.
That's, true. Yes. He did. He did. And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definite answer. An answer, and incriminates the accused.
This is preposterous. Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack?
It wasn't even a conversation. Yes, I did post a withering English Rosa question. I don't deny it, but she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. The report is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow. What on earth could have happened in that hut? She's doing Naruto though. Naruto does that too. Cross-examination. I asked the Englishwoman for interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Lies! You asked her for an interview, you say? Well, of course I did. I want to ask her about the incident she was involved in at the end of last year. About the case in which Dr. John H. Wilson lost his life. That's not the way I phrased it. MENIMEMOISM calls for straight talking. Why did you murder Dr. Wilson, is how I put it to her. Right. That sort of talking is as straight as a ruler. Ask every question as if you're asking for a menu in a restaurant, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that. And how did Miss Brett answer? With one simple phrase. Mystery's a woman's charm. Ooh, that told me. So I waltzed right out of there. Really? Something about that doesn't quite seem to fit together. Leave every room as if you're waltzing in a dance hall, I say. It's the best way. A veteran at the paper taught me that. Who is this veteran? Watching secretly from outside, saw the woman being stabbed, the other was coming. Okay. That was very persistent of you, considering that Miss Brett had just turned you away. Persistence wins the prize! Any memoist will tell you that. MENIMEMOISM. Let them think you left, and just when they lower their guard, that's when you swoop in for the scoop.
And the fruits of your labor are all too apparent in this telling photograph. Though I'm sure the young yokel student would rather not be reminded of this damning evidence.
Actually, it's thanks to that photograph that we managed to identify this witness. And now that you found me, I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I've got nothing to hide. I'm sure.
Please, do go ahead, witness. The court is eager to hear what you have to say.
Try to stop me. There's a story to tell here, and I'm gonna tell it. I don't know if back then they were not allowed to have journalists in courts or not. I mean, now they do. Now you're not allowed to, but like, maybe it's different times, you know. And Saseki-san remained behind in the hut. That's right. Yup, our author friend here was a blabbering wreck, shaking all over from his head to his toes, mustache twitching, eyes bulging. What do you expect? You don't know the terrifying troubles that taunted me while traveling abroad. Back behind Belleville bars. They'll be coming for me, surely. That's all I could think. I felt as though I was gasping for air, drowning in a sea of cold sweat. For Saseki-san, his experience in London has scarred him deeply. As the world seemed to close in around me, I quietly recited to prayer to Amida Buddha. Eternal emptiness, empty eternity. The end is coming for me, surely. No sutras are resound in my courtroom, please. And now we come to the crucial part. That's when it happened. This writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. What was that question's be? What question? What exactly did he say? Well now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man?
Out with it, you yokel hack. What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman?
Well, the truth. I've been catching crabs on the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then, all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Really? I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brent on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan for the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin. But what did you ask her, Soseki-san? You alive? Yeah. Ask her who did this to you. Protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't. She said nothing in response. But when in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will! She didn't say anything. So you're useless. But she never replied. So you tried to find out who the culprit was. He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. That's a good saying. You know? I'm gonna digress a bit. If you ever have questions, just ask. You know, it's better to find out and be, you know, it's better to be annoying for asking a lot of questions than be annoying for not doing your job properly. Whatever it is, or, you know, just ask questions. Having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Better remain a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever.
However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond. Is that correct?
I know why. I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache because I'm Japanese.
Oh dear, Seki-san's really developed a dislike for the English, it seems.
They kind of didn't treat him that well back then. Check the previous episodes. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. They're pretty racist. I mean, I think I read an article that says the game's like, oh, we're not racist, but like, there are some racist undertones there. Looking at you, developers. But the English woman didn't ignore you at all, did she, Mr. Writer-Man? Huh? Well, that's alright. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. She went like, with a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant. Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant? Seki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked, who did this to you? The Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl. She could be pointing at the back of the hut. Idiot. Dumbass. No. So Seki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? Fiddlesticks, I say. It's not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger to the back of the hut, but I was trembling and she was trembling and everything was a blur. And thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no. Not slightly. In a very different direction where the student girl was standing. She's somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all. You mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim is pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it. Unclear. Very, very unclear.
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly, but there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because, as the court can see, there is no one other than the accused in the direction that the victim is pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime.
I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. No.
No!
Hey! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hope dash. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, Sato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime is committed yet.
Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
Ray gave us her account on how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed.
She was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. Then a moment later, suddenly got to her feet. She was collapsing on the floor in front of me. With a knife in her back. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amidst all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to the question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add?
So, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened,
it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
I know how! Yigiari. Really sweating, bro. Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh? To what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
An alternative theory? Ha, none exists.
Are we gonna Igiari each other? There was someone else present at the scene. Who could have committed this crime?
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction, fantasy.
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes, Your Excellency? You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Where's the picture taken? Picture. I'm gonna say here. Here. The true culprit was in this area here. There, counsel? That's right, Your Excellency. I believe the culprit was hiding in the location I've indicated. Why? Oh, well, that's what I'm about to say. What? What? I chose poorly. I suggest you begin by considering where the victim was in the moments leading up to her death. Perhaps you can identify a more credible location, counsel. Right behind the chair? Here? There, counsel. Wide-eyed. What the frick? She was standing, so she should be... She was sitting here, right? Yeah, look, there's a gap right there. She should be right behind. Where was XD? Was you proposing to cut? It should be here, right? That's the point. The chair. Nope. What the freak? It should be there, right? It should be behind. I pointed it behind. Victim was stabbed. Where exactly we were proposing the culprit was concealed. It was here. Look, there's a gap and everything. Unless in the dress? I don't think so. Oh wait. I had to point outside. God damn, I'm pointing at the wall. Naruhodo-san would never give up. And I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett, concealed in this location here. Are you mad, counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? Ooh, menimemo. Why you sweating, bro? Why you sweating? But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire, that makes no sense at all. You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about, I can swear to that.
Obviously, the culprit has been outside the hut. There's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who's inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Aochi, there is a way. Oh. And, in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing. You're bluffing. You still...
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, counsel. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? That's not it? Well, I've presented it now. But I haven't the first idea why I chose this piece of evidence. Oh, piece of shit. What? It's something of a windfall, Your Excellency. Oh, great. Downfall. There's a hole! What the hell? Come on. Consistently failed to greatly the defendant, remember me guilty. What? More guidance. This piece corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut. Maybe it's this. There's a hole there. Yep. The original photographic print of the crime scene? Yes. It's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone at least appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where in this photograph is a trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from the outside? Isn't it this hole? Look closely just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No, I can't. I can't see any such thing.
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade can easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary. Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right hand menimoism. It could have only been you. Now?
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies and was exactly the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume as part of this farcical scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower?
No, of course not.
We're not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. At the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. Yup. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable.
A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the reed screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word. So, in fact, the victim was killed while sitting on that stool by stab wounds to her back delivered through the reed screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively, but then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut, before the defendant, Menimimeism's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, menimoism, I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is
Absurd!
That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Menimimeism, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. That's too easy. Finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Aochi clan can't. What of my growth of hope? It wasn't all an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict and, yeah, he never said why he did it. Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in a mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What? What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. The poison. Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you're developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison is administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Huh. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
Ah, how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely. It matters not a jot who stabbed whom and whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
I've forgotten already, I have, yokel. During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor you assigned assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim has no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
So, let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? She drunk it. Come on. Well...
Oh!
Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Yeah, you in the hut. You could have done it. Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This prime-pressed father this is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journal and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's MENIMEMOISM. For a brief moment, I thought I eliminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? Jeez. Okay, you know what? I think that's a good time to leave this episode off. I knew the moment that the judge was going to admit guilt, it's like, that's not going to happen, because the cases are usually never that simple. Because, I mean, like, he didn't give motive as well, so there's no way it would have ended just like that. So, I guess in the next episode, we'll figure out why he did it. Because I have a feeling it's him. He's just trying to hide himself now. There's no one else. Literally no one else. Everybody's innocent. She's innocent. She's dead. These guys are definitely not it. So he's the only outlier. It has to be him. So it's just a matter of figuring out through his testimony the holes that he has. And you know what? We'll see what happens. But for now, if you like what you see and you like what you hear, be sure to like, subscribe, and get that bell on so you stay up to date on all my latest videos. As always, be safe, take care, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace!